donated to Masco.
Okay, we're on. Good evening and welcome to the Georgetown School Committee meeting of Thursday, May 24th, 2018. If we could all please rise for our Pledge of Allegiance.
I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Hey, good evening, everybody. Thank you for coming out tonight. I want to welcome back Michael and Pam, because you just had a
Election.
election day. So thank you both for
Congratulations.
again.
It was a tough race.
Thank you to the voters. Those write-ins. So thank you, really, again. So tonight, the main thing that we'll be talking about in the beginning will be the school committee reorganization, which happens every year. We're going to talk about subcommittee reports, subcommittee appointments as well. So we will first start off with the chairman or chair of the school committee. Want to make a motion?
I'll make a motion. Can I do that?
Nomination.
Nomination,
Yeah. I nominate Barbie
Second.
Senars.
So moved. No, it doesn't do that, no, okay.
Debate.
Debate, questions, anybody? Okay, I accept the nomination, thank you.
Yes. All in favor, and
All in
thank you.
favor?
Aye. Thank you.
Aye, thank you.
Okay.
Okay, vice chair? You want to make a nomination?
Anybody else want to do it?
I mean, I'd be happy to do it, I don't wanna take it if somebody else would, we haven't discussed this really, but, if anybody else would
Never
like to
mind,
try
I'm
the
going
position.
to make a nomination for Michael.
Okay,
Mind?
no, I don't mind.
For vice chair? Okay,
Second?
So moved.
all in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Right?
Or I guess
You
I
mean I
should vote
can't
on
sit
me.
next to you anymore?
Oh, we have to move.
I don't think so.
next to me.
So clerk,
I kick him.
who's currently our clerk?
You wouldn't kick me.
You
would
are, okay. So, I will make a nomination for Suzanne McDonald to be the clerk. What am I doing?
You have to take notes when people are not notes, but just the votes.
Sure, I could do that.
It is not a heavy lift.
No.
I'll be
Okay.
clerk.
Does anyone want a second?
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Okay, great. I will make a motion to appoint Judy Levinson and Greg Panini, is that Pagnini? As the Georgetown School Committee Legal Counsel for the academic year of 2018-2019.
So moved.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Make a motion to reappoint the law firm of Sullivan, Nuttall, and McAvoy as Georgetown School Committee Special Education Legal Counsel for the academic school year of 2018-2019.
So moved.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Thank you. Make a motion to appoint Michael Hinchliffe and Cheryl Lashendro to the Budget and Finance Subcommittee with, we don't have an alternate.
Well, yeah, because what we did is we took everybody's wish list and there was
Yeah.
no one else who.
I'll be the alternate for that.
I said I would do
Well,
budget.
but the problem is
You wanna do
you're
the
not
alternate?
available during the day.
I'm not available during the day.
Okay, I'll be the alternate for Budget and Finance.
So moved.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Make a motion to appoint Pam Lundquist and Cheryl Lashendro to the Governance Subcommittee, with myself as the alternate for the 2018-2019 school year.
So moved.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Make a motion to appoint Michael Hinchliffe and Barbie Linares to the Negotiation Subcommittee with Suzanne McDonald as the alternate for the 2018-2019 school year.
So moved.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Make a motion to appoint Suzanne McDonald and Pam Lundquist with myself as the alternate to the Public Relations Subcommittee for the 2018-2019 school year.
So moved.
Second.
Make a motion to appoint myself. What? Oh,
We did
all in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Thank you. Make a motion to appoint me, Barbie Linares, to the Safety Subcommittee with Pam as the alternate for the 2018-2019 school year.
So moved.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Make a motion to reappoint Pam Lundquist as the school committee rep to the school building committee for the 2018-2019 school year.
Still going.
Yes, the September project hasn't
One
closed.
more meeting.
Oh, wow.
Okay.
You wanna take on that again? You're good with that?
Honestly, we have one more meeting and I can't make it. It's my son's birthday.
Oh, that's.
Oh, no,
what-
no,
what-
no, no, that's not my son's birthday. That's my son, he's coming back from a trip, and so we're going out to dinner with him that
So
night.
when is it?
It's June 12th.
Okay, is anyone available June 12th? So we'll appoint you to the,
But isn't that still
one
in this
meeting?
fiscal year? That's in this fiscal year still, June 12th, this year, June 12th.
Yeah, yeah, they're hoping to close it out this year,
Yeah. Oh, you're saying it would still be Pam. You're
because
right.
I
it
think
would
they're trying to
still
go to
be-
the July board
So
meeting.
you
yeah,
just need
see,
to
well,
find-
we've done it in the past where we've started it, all this effective,
Like right after
Now.
the meeting?
yeah,
Yeah, that's the way we've typically done it, right or wrong.
right.
We don't finish this until
I thought it
start in
I don't-
September?
Well, that's what I thought we were
July,
gonna do,
or
but
July 1st.
That's what Suzanne was
Fiscal
saying.
year.
Fiscal year. I mean, I can,
I don't know the,
I mean, you can finish it for this
I
year.
can keep it too, because I don't think there's gonna be any significant votes. It's just
Okay,
gonna be
we'll
like
talk
to
about it. We
close
can
and then
figure out who,
Carol's gonna be there,
I'll
so
be
Carol
there.
can
Yeah,
report
but
on
we
it.
can figure it by that, at that point, if somebody wants to,
Okay.
fill in for you. Make a motion to appoint Suzanne McDonald and Cheryl. Oh, we didn't vote on it though. So you're good with that? Sure. Okay. So all in favor?
Aye.
Did anyone second me?
Second.
Make a motion to appoint Suzanne McDonald and Cheryl Ashendra with Pam Lundquist as the alternate to the Superintendent Goals Subcommittee for the 2018-2019 school year.
So moved.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Okay, make a motion to reappoint Michael Hinchliff as the legislative liaison for the 2018-2019 school year.
So moved.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
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 Make a motion to reappoint Pam Lundquist as the CREST representative for the 2018-2019 school year. You wanna
So-
still do that?
So moved.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Aye. Thank you for doing that. That's a lot of work on that one. Make a motion to reappoint Pam Lundquist as the CPAC liaison for the 2018-2019 school year as presented.
So moved.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Where'd you get that?
This is what we did for Barbie.
Make a motion to appoint Jack Tiano as the district's Title II Compliance Coordinator for the 2018-2019 school year.
Does he accept?
Yes.
So moved.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
She forgot this one.
Thank you. Make a motion to appoint Suzanne Sutherland as the district's Title VI Compliance Coordinator for the 2018-2019 school year.
So moved.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Make a motion to appoint Suzanne Sutherland as the district's Title IX Compliance Coordinator for the 2018-2019 school year.
So moved.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Make a motion to appoint Jack Tiano and Suzanne Sutherland as the district's sexual harassment hearing officers for the 2018-2019 school year.
So moved.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Motion to appoint the Director of Guidance, Julia Robinson, as the 504 Coordinator for the 2018-2019 school year.
So moved.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Make a motion to appoint Jack Tiano as the district's homeless student liaison for the 2018-2019 school year.
So moved.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Make a motion to reappoint Dr. William Medwood as the Georgetown Public Schools school physician for the 2018-2019 school year.
So moved.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Aye. Make a motion to reappoint Nancy Weiss as the 2018-2019 school committee secretary.
So moved.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Aye, if she'll have us. Make a motion to appoint Cheryl Ashendro as the authorized signature for the district payroll warrants for the 2018-2019 school year.
You still wanna do that, Cheryl?
Sure.
Is that okay with you?
Yeah.
Moved.
Second.
All in favor? Aye.
Aye.
Yeah.
Thank you. Is that still working out good for you? Like it's
Yeah.
not,
Yeah, it does.
you're around and you're?
Yep.
Okay, good. Thank you for doing that.
Yep.
Do you need an alternate for that? Just because I know I signed it last week.
Did you, yeah.
Do we need to name an alternate, or does that just need to
you wanna be
be
an
somebody?
I don't think it hurts you to do that,
Okay,
you know,
I can be an alternate.
you'd be the
Okay,
alternate.
with Michael as the
With Michael
alternate.
as the
Perfect.
And if
Thank
not,
you
I
for
can
that.
copy Michael's signature.
Not on camera.
Okay.
Oh, I have a sense of humor.
Okay, I will, we're gonna do the consent agenda at this point. We need to approve some minutes. I'll make a motion to approve regular session minutes of May 10th, 2018, executive session minutes of May 10th, 2018, safety subcommittee session minutes of May 10th, 2018, negotiation subcommittee executive session minutes of May 2nd, 2018, May 10th, 2018, and May 16th, 2018, as well as accepting warrants number 48P18 and 47V18.
So moved.
Second.
Any discussion on those? All in favor?
Aye.
Thank you. Okay, is there anyone here from the public that wants to talk about anything on the agenda tonight? Okay. Our student rep is at a softball game this evening, so she's not here with us this evening. But I do just want to say that I was thrilled to hear that the junior-senior prom went off without a hitch. Everyone got home safe and sound, and from what I understand, they had a fabulous
really
time.
great.
Yes.
So I was really excited for that. They had it at a new location. They had it at the Ipswich Country Club, which was beautiful from what I could see of the pictures. They had a perfect day. The Grand March was nice. It was just an all-around.
And a great
Nice
dinner
day.
there,
Yeah,
right,
yeah.
too? And the price was reasonable.
Yeah, I was very happy with that. And so Suzanne can attest to the fact that the seniors are very excited about school ending soon, since you have two of them.
If you can get them to go to school.
Yeah, are they excited?
Their last day's
They,
coming up.
they are.
Good.
It's a little, with a little, trepidation too, because it's sort of bittersweet for them. It's
Right.
the,
Very intense.
It's definitely
Yes.
winding down.
It is.
You know,
So
so-
you've been through it, so
Yeah.
Pam.
In a little more than a week, we'll be seeing
Graduating.
these children off. And I'm sure they're all gonna do wonderful, great things. I'm proud of all of them. Oh, good. Is everyone gonna be able to attend the graduation? Yeah, Pam? Yeah, that's one of my favorite days. Good.
Can I just also say, today there was a Memorial Day program at the middle school. It was the best I've ever seen. That was really, really well done. You could tell the kids really did it, because, they'd have these little middle school kind of comics that they'd inject, right,
Yeah.
But they did a lot of research. It was very well organized.
Was it indoors or out?
It was indoors, but, it really was run by the students. And of course, Deb DeFrucio and, Heidi Monjo and Ted Schrinder also deserve a lot of credit for making it work. But the students, they just ran the whole thing.
That's great.
And there were a number of veterans that were there. Pam came by. There was a number of veterans there, but it was just really, really well done. I think it's gotten better sort of every year.
How many years have we done that?
I'm gonna say this is maybe the 4th year.
Oh, wow, okay.
Do they still do it at Pembroke?
Yes, that's tomorrow.
Oh, terrific.
And Margaret's doing it outside for the first time.
Yeah, it's gonna be. Oh, right.
Since we've
Years
been in the new
past, we-
school.
It was outside.
we've been in the
This
new
is the new
schools.
one, right?
Yeah, since we've been in the new one.
That's great. I love that we do that, because it's so important for the students to remember that Memorial Day isn't the beginning of the summer. Which,
That's what they keep saying. That's what they said all day.
Yeah, they really need
And that would be
to,
my point tomorrow, Barbie. It's so important for these traditions to continue for children,
right,
so that they are aware every year of why we do that.
right. That's good.
And
I'm
the
glad that you
sound,
do.
the sound went on them, so I was so impressed with how flexible they were. So they had this, proud to be an American, the whole slideshow. But the kids that got up on the risers to sing it, sung it a cappella. And,
Really?
yep, and there were something else that they were doing in there. And they just did it. And it didn't really throw them off. They were good with it. And then one thing they did this year is they had, paper. So when you came in, you got a paper with the name of a veteran who had died in one of the 5 wars that they were featuring. And, it was really emotional, to think that, they had 240 of them, I guess, but of course not, what they said, it was a third or some small number of the people, who they would like to have honored. But it just was a nice touch, they really did some very nice, things.
That's great.
Yeah, I just want to make sure they get credit, because they really, really did a good job.
Good, thank you for
Very impressive.
giving us the update on that. Okay, so moving right along to the agenda, we have with us this evening, we have Chief Cudmore here with Officer Laura Britton.
Yep.
Our new school resource officer, so why don't you come on up?
Hi there.
Hi, Don.
Hello. Thank you for coming out tonight.
Well, we were asked to come by and introduce Officer Britton to the committee, as well as, I mean, she's full throttle in the community, so a lot of people know her. It was a very quick and decisive hiring process. She started out of the gate April 1st, and in doing so, realized her job was only solid for 3 months, and then we went through the town warrant, the town meeting, and then the election. So I'm very happy to say that the community supported us, and you know, it was a difficult decision for her. She had already had a full-time police job elsewhere,
Wow.
and she left that after 2 days of appointment to come here. Yeah,
Really?
so she's been through it, and I was very excited after the election to hear that we were able
Right,
to secure
secured.
services.
Yeah.
And, with the program, it's going to change the program because we have Officer Olszewski, and we're going to get together once school's out to determine how we will reconfigure the program. Having 2 SROs in a school district our size is a blessing. So we want to make sure we maximize our efforts, as well as the changes that are going to go through the school district as well, with some capital and structural changes. We need planning for that. The task force that we're currently working with to try to get a new set of guidelines. It's not new, it's just putting everything in one resource area. There's currently right now about 19 programs that we participate in with our school district, and it was very, very favorable for us when we looked at the program in general to realize that we've really been doing some advanced school safety planning since 2004. So I mean, this is not new to us, and I think that the task force has shown that, and we've shown that we're ready and able to serve, and we have been for a number of years, even without our SROs prior to Officer Olszewski's hiring. So I commend the community for investing in those resources. Some communities don't have any SROs, and I think that I've always said I'd like to be the leader in one thing, and I think we finally found something that we are truly taking a leadership role in school safety with our district and our police department. So this is our newest addition, Officer Britton. I'm very excited that we're able to give her that job because she's been our reserve officer with us for a number of months, and everybody's taking a liking to her. So she's done a great job for us, and I know that she's attending games. She was at the prom.
She was at the prom.
Oh,
She
great.
went to the prom. It's the first
Not
time
in
we've
her
ever had our
uniform.
SRO.
I was just
You did attend alone, right?
Oh, by myself. And not like this, yeah.
So I think that just shows her commitment. You know, she's been attending their events and things, and I think she's really making a connection up there. Over the summer, she'll have to go to NASRO, the National School Resource Officer Association program.
And where is that?
It's everywhere.
They have all different-
And unfortunately for Officer Olszewski, his was canceled twice because I was going to have him travel all the way up into Vermont to get the course. There was another one out in the western part of the country. It's nice if I can get it in New England, so I don't have to
budget.
take that travel expense, and I lose the officer longer if I can have them around. So, but here she is. So if you want to ask us some questions, that's why we were asked to come.
Well, so is that what do you want to work with kids? Is that
Oh, of
something?
course.
I mean,
So-
is
That's an
that
important moment to
no,
ask.
is that like your overall, like you really see yourself like connecting to them?
Oh,
Because
yeah.
I have heard that the kids feel that, so.
Definitely. I mean, even so from high school up through college, just a little bit of background. In high school, I used to be actually involved in peer mediation, so I was a peer mediator for a long time. Then in college, I used to do like the executive committee, and like just we used to do like in school we'd have a suicide hotline if people wanted to call us, things like that. I was highly involved in that. You know, any group or club I could be involved in, that was really like what I kind of did. And a lot of the kids, I do get involved in like substance abuse programs and things like that on my own time. So I think it's really important for kids to be educated and to have somebody that will be there for them as much as they can be.
Right.
So that's kind of what I'm looking for. I did leave going to Haverhill because the kids are that important to me. This position was very important to me. So, and even knowing it wasn't solidified right away, I knew it would be a really excellent position if I could keep it.
Oh, that's
so,
great.
definitely
That's
important.
And how do you feel the kids have been with you so far? Like, are
Oh,
they
so good.
good?
Yeah, I mean, definitely now after we did the mock accident.
I heard all about
Like
that.
Chief had said, I do go to their games on my own free time. They do enjoy that, and I do always have like an open door policy. If you need me, always, you can always take me out of the room. We can go for a walk. Anything you need. I do get involved in some of their gym classes. I've been playing Foursquare with them. They like that. So yeah. So it's been really good, and they really seem to enjoy the time. So it's been great. Yeah.
Right. And then you're able to put on your, like, the police face when you need to. When you have to.
Exactly. I mean, I do like security checks throughout the day for safety purposes. I do attend their lunches unless they have something like really important going on, but I'm always at the lunch. It's from 10:41 to 12:41. I'm there. Sometimes I'll come out and go outside with them, things like that. So they seem to really like it.
Do you want to tell them about Pearly? 'Cause you
Oh, I do
Pearly
go over
as
there
well.
too. So I try to go over there as much as I can, about an hour the days that I do go. So like 3 to 4 times a week, sometimes 5 days a week, depending if we don't have anything going on at the high school it's really significant. I've been going over there. Unfortunately, I wasn't able to attend their Olympics, but I've been going and
That was
watching
great.
their motor groups. So they were like showing me all the things they were going to do for their Olympics.
Yep.
But they've actually gotten to the point now where I can enter the room and they don't even realize like I'm there now. Like I'm part of them. Like I pull up a chair and they're like, oh, and they just keep watching. Before it used to be like too much,
Yeah.
and now it's like perfect. They notice me there and they don't even realize I'm in the room. So it's
That's
excellent.
great. It's like they're not associating you to like bad things happening. It's like, that's a great way to come across, like make that connection that.
That's why it's important with these programs, is all police officers are great at being police officers, but you need to find officers that have, some unique characteristics that would put them in the school and work with children. Officer Olszewski's been a great blend in
Right.
Pembroke. We do realize, and NASRO does recommend that after 3 years, you take an officer out of the school and put someone else in there. So that there's, a fresh perspective with regard to safety and so on and so forth. But I'm reevaluating that because this coming school year is Officer Olszewski's third year. And him and I have already had some conversations concerning him staying in that role. So
He's great.
I just think that there are certain things, and the law allows for the choice to be between the police chief and the superintendent, so that you put someone in there that both administrators are satisfied with based on the officer's past performance, as well as the school district and the school welcoming them. I find with Officer Britton, and I hear them, throughout the station when I'm working with them throughout the day, they're referring it to as my school, and that's important because that means that they've actually taken the ownership and the responsibility of dealing with the safety and security of the building, as well as becoming a part of that school population, and it's been working very well on both sides for both of our schools. And I incorporated the Pembroke because the admin team sits in the Pembroke. In the Pearly, and we do have students in there for the preschool program. So it's a campus style. It's 800 feet away. There's nothing wrong with trying to make sure that there's some at least a presence. So when we do make the new capital improvements, that there's an additional layer of security to enhance and reduce and minimize our risk. That's our goal.
So did you go to the senior center too?
I haven't been to the senior center yet. What I usually do when I'm at Pearly is check the doors and things like that
Yeah.
to make sure they're secure from the other side. So I haven't been in to see them yet, but I didn't know if I should.
We use a
but-
patrol coordination
Patrol, yeah.
on the community on the community center, only because we're trying to create another program for the seniors as well on the police side. So we have I don't want to blend it too quick too soon. I want to try to make sure that we have the schools solidified with that coverage, and then I'll add that complement of patrol.
Just curious, the 3-year model, is that to sort of rotate out for a year or two, or kind of
Especially after you go through all the training.
does that person ever come back?
Well, it's a recommendation based on the fact they feel that police officers get too comfortable in that role. And, you know, prior to the enhancement of school safety like there is today, a lot of people would go to SRO programs in schools because of the hours. Number one, you're not working at night, you're working during the day. Schools are closed on the weekends. We work 24, 365, 7 days a week, so there's, you know, so we run 3 shifts. So the attraction of the shift was probably a goal for some officers, and so the intent of going there may not have been to take on the task like Officer Britton has. So it's not etched in stone, and quite frankly, with a department our size, if I find that someone's, you know, performing well and we, you know, we're reaching our goals, then, you know, like I said, I'm already looking at Officer Olszewski, and we're having conversations, convincing conversations.
And he's thriving.
Convincing
Extremely effective. I mean, he's just, you know.
Did I say
so-
that yet?
Yeah. And do you work closely with him, like, in terms of like when you come back to the station and you can bounce things off each other and stuff like that?
Yes, he does come. He does come to see me just because I'm newer, so he takes time to come see me during the day. We do like maybe like about a half an hour. We have conversations about, you know, things that are going on. We always talk back and forth on the phone, email each other. Sometimes we will like have lunch at the same time together, and we'll talk about it at lunch. We're very vocal with each other just because it is so important to be connected. And then I also feel very lucky because Mr. Prescott back there and Mr. Lucia, they're both, and Heidi Monjo as well, Miss Monjo. They've been so wonderful in communicating with me, also with the kids, and they've really let me know, you know, things that are going on, things that I might need to know, and they're very supportive. They've been open door, you know, if you need me, definitely come by, and they give me like a set of things they might need from me. So pretty much I'm getting a well-rounded like task to do every day, and it's been great.
And another thing that we have is Detective Sergeant Rodden was our SRO many years ago, and he is assigned full-time day shift right now. So he is also another component that we have in the schools. I know the administrators rely heavy on him, and they see him, and that also gives Officer Britton and Olszewski the backup, that necessary sounding board they need. And so we almost have 3 full-time SROs, at least they're trained and such, because we have people who have been in the schools for a number of years. If one of them aren't here, I know that Guy and Peter can attest that, you know, Jim is a fixture over there at the high school as well to assist with their needs. So, I mean, right now we're in a very good place with regard to manpower allocation for the schools, and I think that moving forward for this next school year, these changes that we make will really show a positive, just a positive cohesion for us as far as safety and security. The schools are going to change. I mean, I think, you know, parents should be prepared for that. Students, they're going to change when we change the configuration of that building. And quite frankly, we're coming out with our new SRO program in the fall too, with some changes that we'll work with the district on how we'll handle school safety. It's going to be a little tighter, and it's going to be cumbersome for some people as to how we do certain things, but that's how you reduce and minimize your risk. You know, you get complacent, or you don't follow your protocol all of the time. That's when you have a hole, and that's when you potentially have a problem. So
It's a different world that we live in out there. I mean, police officers are always, you know, put in situations that are, you know, difficult, but right now with everything that's going on with schools and things like that, I commend you for wanting to take the position on. I feel so lucky to live in this community, and I think we have a great, you know, the kids are great, parents are very supportive, and, you know, the town itself, just to recognize that this is something that we need to do. And I think for the amount of kids that we have, I think 2 SROs, really, it goes without saying that everybody's priority is safety of the staff.
well, there are
and the
states that are
kids.
putting officers in every school in their state, and our small community has already done it. So, and we did it without a mandate. We did it because
Right.
we felt it was the right thing to do.
yeah.
And the community supported it because it is a financial burden to our residents. But it's something that I think is necessary, and I'm glad that it worked out for us.
Me too.
I mean, it's also a real foundational building block of community policing, which the whole philosophy is relatively I don't know, 10, 15 years old.
Older than that, yeah.
Older, yeah, a little older than that, yeah. But, you know, just to teach young preschool children that, you know, that there's a police, there's a school resource officer that they can go up and get to know and talk to, and, you know, who's interested in them, and you're approachable. You know, I think you're gonna inspire a whole new generation of students who may, you know, wanna grow up and serve in law enforcement.
Well, it's one of
I
the
hope
few
so.
programs that.
It's like,
It's a program that can't be quantified with data at times, and I had said
Right.
that at town meeting, that,
Right,
you know, people wanna know the crime rate and statistics in our district, and I said, well, there are none. That's not the point of the program. The program is to minimize and reduce the risk, but also provide the resource and the service. And it's hard to quantify that. I mean, students that feel comfortable and we're actually preventing issues from occurring and supporting families. There are, people don't think so, that there are many families in Georgetown who are in crisis, who need help, that we help on a daily basis, and they have students in the district, they have needs through social services, and we just connect those dots for them, and whether it's just there as an additional resource for them. So I think that's another component. Daily calls that we get for folks that are in need, we're there to help them with their students and their kids.
Just really quickly, you were talking about students that might ask me questions about policing, and I've had two, senior and a junior, both come to me and ask me questions about policing and what they might need to do to become a police officer. Any questions they might have for me, I let them, you know, I have an email address at the station, they can email me. You know, one of them's going off to college, so I did explain to her, you know, how to be careful and what to do and how to, you know, how to be an example. So I told her if she ever needed any advice or anything that was, you know, necessary for her to, like, you know, follow her dream, then I was there to support her as long as she was doing well in school and doing all the right things. So they do ask, and it's good that they do, because kids now need, you know, positive influences, especially with everything that's going on, and we try our best to do that in the community. So
That's great. You know, my son had the pleasure of having an internship at the Georgetown Police Department. I don't know if he was with you the first day that you were on the job. Did you put two and two together? Yeah, he told me. I was a little nervous when he said, "Yeah, it was her first day." I'm like,
It's a first day for everything.
Is she coming back tomorrow?
Everybody has a first day.
But when I told him that you were the new school resource officer, he was like, "Oh, she's going to be great in that." You know, so whatever impression you gave him that night, he was just like, she's going to be really influential with the kids. So that's awesome.
thank you very
I'm really
much.
happy.
He was really good.
Thank you. Well, good. I look forward to seeing you around. I see the police car there all the time,
All
but
the
I
time.
don't necessarily.
Been a great transition.
Yeah, good. That's great.
Well, thanks for having us.
Thank
Yeah,
you.
thank you.
All right.
Thanks for coming.
Thank you very
Okay.
much.
Have a good night.
Thank you, you too.
Thanks. We just want to thank the public again
Trip
for,
over that chair
yes,
every time I turn around.
for supporting that, because that really just goes without saying that in a district our size and having the two schools covered, it's
My
fantastic.
husband works in a Western Mass district, and it's 5 schools. And the town police chief requested, there's 1 school resource officer for all of those schools. And he requested for 2 additional officers, and they didn't get the money. Town council didn't approve the money. So it's not happening everywhere that these kind of things are getting support. So I think, you know, again, Georgetown deserves a lot of credit. Because it was, I know there were people who had questions about it, we really had to weigh it. But in the end, you know, I think they'll be proud of the investment, you know, because I think it is making a difference for
Yeah.
kids.
And I think both of them, I mean, Officer Olszewski.
Yeah, I hope he
was
doesn't
great,
think
too.
too much about.
I'm rotating.
Yeah,
Rotating
yeah,
them.
he's done great,
Yeah.
and I enjoy
Yeah.
just watching his interactions with the kids and
Yes.
stuff.
So they're both very positive people.
That's
That
great.
helps a lot.
Okay, let's move on here to, we're gonna talk about your superintendent's goals, the final report?
Yeah, so,
Okay.
so we had it was a little squishy this year with goals, but I think we came to a meeting of the minds. And I know I tucked this into the binder,
Yeah.
but there was so much to see, you might not have noticed it. So I said to Nancy, I don't think we've actually come and discussed this at the committee, you know, at least at the end of the year. So we put it in. You may not have any questions. It may be self-explanatory to you, but I wanted to give you the opportunity to ask. And certainly, a lot of these district goals, you know, the administrators are very involved in the work. So if there was a question or concern, we could certainly answer. Colin is not here tonight because it is actually his son's 4th birthday. So otherwise he would be here.
We agree that you can take the days off for your kids'
That's
birthdays. That's a
important.
very important day.
That is a very important day.
Great age.
Yeah, yeah.
Among many.
Anything that doesn't have teen after it is a great, it's a great age. It's awesome. You gotta let go.
And we're all laughing because we really get it.
But the good news is,
We love you kids.
the good news is you come out on the other side.
Yes, that's true.
Yes.
Very well.
Yes, yep.
So that's the good news.
Good.
Can't go around it. You gotta go through it. Yeah, it's just part of life.
I did see this in the binder.
Yeah.
That binder was great.
Suzanne gave it back. Suzanne
you
just
the
gave
last, yeah, that,
Gave it back.
it was very, the binder was great, and
Oh,
it
yes.
definitely helped because it gives us an idea of things that we don't
You don't necessarily.
necessarily know what's going on, so.
Yeah. Well, good. I'm glad.
And I thought it was extremely well organized, which it always has been,
Yeah.
but this was even more so, I thought.
With the
The
information at the
extra
bottom.
information.
Yeah, I tried to, and I tried to just make it a checklist. It was easier for us.
I think you should make a copy for each of us.
I think we talked about that
You don't
last year.
really want that.
I just-
Well,
yeah.
actually,
Laura was like,
just so you know, we're actually discussing, you know, how can we maybe do something electronically that looks like a binder? Like, you know what I mean? That's organized like the binder.
It's a lot to go through.
Not last year. Trust me, we're not doing that.
It's just
Scan it
way
in.
of going
No, we're not doing what we did last year, so
This
so
is better
we're,
than last year.
we're looking at it, you know, because there are
But
online
this is
portfolios.
nice to have.
I
to,
know,
like-
I know, you guys like to look at it and
I
that.
can't wait for an electronic version.
I like stuff to touch.
I know, you're the
Right.
you're the holdout.
You really like seeing things
Yeah,
online?
he does.
Yeah.
Well, the one thing Nancy and I did talk about, and actually the administrators will appreciate it as well, because I'm saying, oh my God, where's the document that we did on this? Is we're gonna set this, well, whatever binder we set up, whether it's this or that, and as we're doing things throughout the year, we're gonna say, okay, that's going in the binder, and that way, you know, we
Yeah,
won't-
you
You're
do
doing it as you go along. It's a
The
lot
electronic
easier.
version is done already.
Already,
So
I know, Michael. We haven't given
Printing
completely
would
up
be
on
the
that, but
hard
we're trying to meet everyone's needs here.
It's just, you know, figuring out a way to do it electronically. I'm not totally against that, but just not like last year.
Well, if
Not the review process.
once
just
we
the
get a few
the
ideas,
evidence.
we will run it by you. We will not do it if it's not what you guys want. It's really for you, so you have an idea of the scope of what we're working on.
So I just had a couple of questions here. On goal number 2, student learning, you mentioned set up a PLC with 5th grade teachers to incorporate writing into their math block. I'm sorry, what is a PLC?
Oh, it's a professional learning community.
Okay.
So there's a structure to it, so you
Yeah.
meet and then there's a process and a procedure.
Okay.
Because that's something that, Margaret, has been working on, is really trying to figure out how to embed, the thing, so they're not isolated little pockets.
So I noticed you put an article in here about everyday math and how
Yeah.
effective it is,
Mhm.
even though I'm not a huge fan.
Yeah, I mean.
But it was a very interesting article.
I
It
just
was.
said that to her, and then I saw this other. Oh, it's like, well, a lot of people really do like it, and I must have,
Well, I think it's like any
Definite
program,
strengths,
it's not
definite
perfect,
strengths,
right?
right,
It's
right.
not perfect, you
But
still
this
have
is-
to supplement.
But writing is a big part of it, isn't it? Like writing out.
It's very language rich,
Language, yes.
and there are places where you're writing a response, because that's what we're really trying to, teach kids. That's what that's how they're being assessed. So
Right.
how do you explain your thinking? And, you have to understand the process, but then how do you explain it? It's another level of sophistication.
Yeah.
But, I've been in the classrooms when they're doing everyday math, and they have the book that they're working on, and they're always writing. We just really need to make sure that the structure of writing is being embedded in there, so that it's not, it's a different kind of writing for one thing, right? It's not the same, it's not writing a composition. So that's why the writing program in the district has all kinds of, the different genres, and kids are taught specifically how to write in those genres. So, you know, this would be, you know, how are we better preparing students so that they have those skills to be able to integrate the writing into the math
Thank you.
seamlessly. Back to Pam.
Right, I just had a question about the goals in general. These are one-year goals?
Well, you know, the hard thing with student learning is when the test results come back. Generally, the action steps are one-year action steps,
Okay.
right? So, for example, we know the District Technology One-to-One iPad
Yep.
is a multi-year initiative, but what specifically were we doing to
Year
do
to
this year, right? So, we may as a group decide we want that to be a goal next year, and then we would do new action steps based on what the second year work would be. So that's how we would do that. And I know, the food service, we agreed, because that's been
Yeah.
I mean, the interesting thing is, when you look at the binder and you look at this, and then you look at the evaluation document, it's like doing the information 3 different times. It's very redundant at times, and, you know, because there's a lot in here that relates to these goals, you know. So I'm not sure how to better connect that, but I did notice it this year in particular. It was like, what, didn't we give them that already? No, didn't we already talk about that? But, you know, it is a good thing to be able to keep track of sort of specific milestones that you have been able to hit. You know, I've always been a fan of, if you write it down, usually you get it done. You know, and you know, because you see all this stuff, it's like a big puzzle, like nothing sort of stands on its own. It all sort of integrates and relates, and some of the timing is important, because you can't do some things before you do other things, you know, so that's part of the art of getting things done.
Did you have a question, Bob?
Would it be possible to get an update, and it's a very open term, on PBIS? Just because I know we talked about it it was in here, on October 12th. But just sort of a 1 year in, what does it look like? I know we talked about.
You could do that, right,
sort of
Margaret? But
the data collection. I'm curious what
you're
I know
finding.
the question is what is the data being collected, what we found.
Yeah,
Speakers
sure.
kind of a
Great. How's it going?
yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, so maybe we can do it at one of the June meetings, Margaret.
Great. Good point. Okay, we have, does anybody else have any questions? about that? Okay. So we have the handbooks to go over. We have the elementary and the middle and school ones. So Margaret, you want to come on up?
Okay, so Margaret took the due diligence of going page by page in this handbook, which is why you have the changes, but you also have the handbook. Because, you know, as she was going through it, she noticed there were a number of things that were either old or just weren't what we were doing and didn't make sense, so why don't you talk everybody through
So,
the big things,
just the
Margaret.
first one, just kind of the housekeeping, names and dates, and now I've got another date, another thing to change on the school committee page, now that you're the vice chair.
Sorry.
Made it difficult.
The terms have been
change all the
changed, but I obviously didn't know that would be different. The next change was under school visitors on page 8. And there was another section later on under safety and security. There was somewhat redundant information. And so I combined them both and then updated with the new procedures that we're using about no visitors coming through the side door. So it's all in here, but just more succinct.
Right, and this will even change more, Margaret, right? Because when we start implementing the, you're talking about the visitors pass meeting, the thing we're gonna stick? Because
Exactly.
Okay, so we don't need to explain to people that you'll be asked to show your license?
Well, I've already said it.
Oh, you
in
did
here.
it, okay.
Upon ringing the buzzer, you'll be asked
Okay,
your
perfect.
name, reason for the visit, so all that is
Okay.
updated
Okay.
information. Then school cancellations, we took out Connect Ed and just said automated, because even, we don't know if it's AP notifier, so just an automated message to
You will
cover
get a
it.
call.
I got a call. On My School Bucks, the fee changed, I think it was $1 something, and that changed to $2.49.
For what?
There's a
I think it's
fee
if you charge it,
online.
but like you had said, if you
You
give a
replace
check,
your money, right?
you're not charged.
49.
For an additional
I just paid
per
yesterday,
Wait a
I
transaction.
minute,
saw that.
so when we add more money to
Yeah,
the account,
every
we're
time
adding,
you
it's like
get
going to
this
the
fee.
ATM machine, if you go to the
Wrong
wrong
one, yeah.
one, you've gotta pay
You
$3.
charge it.
240.
Right.
Well,
That's why-
$2.49.
But
Don't
you
exactly.
That's why I give checks. I give
But yeah.
national.
99
If
cents.
you send a
So-
check, there's no
It's not a
charge.
dollar.
If you send a check, there's no charge.
Right.
Right.
It's just so much easier, right?
It's easier to just,
Especially when your
I
kid
mean,
calls
It's a
you and says,
convenience fee.
It's a convenience.
yeah,
$1.75 on it.
okay.
Good to know.
That's worth it to you?
Where's that money going? Just out of curiosity.
That's going to an outside company.
My school
To
budget,
my school bucks.
so they can pay the credit card companies.
Great.
And then, obviously Heather Torrey's name was taken out, replaced with Sean Riley.
Yeah.
And then, as I had mentioned, the safety and security came out from a later portion and just got put in the front. The health services and policies, that is something that, let's get to that. So the first few paragraphs that were approved by school committee, some of that might be updated and changed, so I didn't touch that, but some of it is really not it's not,
what page
current.
are you on?
On page 19, under health services and policies, some of this is not, current. But I didn't wanna change it until we either
There was a
district-wide
policy.
change it or it's policy or, but just to know that that piece is really not completely accurate. Then under first.
So how do we make it accurate?
We have to
Well-
we have to do it through governors.
Right.
Oh, you're
2008
saying
too.
that our, right, 2008.
Yeah.
Yeah, I could.
So,
So we would need to know, Margaret, what is not accurate.
And I can
What should it
tell
say?
you those changes I had suggested, but then, again, I couldn't just change one little piece of it because
Right.
it's the whole thing that needs to be approved.
Okay. Well, maybe when we meet with governors, Margaret could come. Have a quick
Yeah.
conversation about it.
Yeah.
and then what will you do then? Then you'll make it like
And
change
since
it
it's
in,
electronic, I
Right.
can just
Swap it
drop
out.
it in.
yeah, and then, so would you like point people, like, would you?
And then we could update.
Let people know there was an update to it? or-
Yep, I could definitely do that.
So it says that health education will be taught as a separate academic discipline, is
That's one
that?
of the things you talked about.
So that's one of the things, okay.
Right.
I
Because
mean,
I'm
we-
thinking to myself,
What does that
It
mean?
doesn't.
Well, we are looking to purchase, a health curriculum.
Good, I think we
Yeah.
should.
And so we actually have a program that we're looking at. So that program, in fact, maybe we're gonna use some help from Georgetown Cares to help offset the cost of that. But right, it isn't necessarily taught in isolation. It's likely that there will be a mix, some is taught in the classroom, but also our health and PE teachers will have a curriculum that they will follow.
So however it's done, then I can just, even if we have one, but just make it reflect what's really
You
happening.
just update that.
Yeah,
Right.
and because
Yeah,
it's all
and
electronic,
clarify.
we don't
That's
print them
important, we
anymore.
definitely should look at this soon.
And then under, so the first, under nursing services, parents should inform the school should inform the school nurse when their child has a medical condition. Nurse Hatch suggested that we add that. Then under first aid, delete notify school physician and school nurse. That has never been done.
We just have a period at the end of that sentence.
Which one?
Parents should inform the school nurse when their child has a medical condition.
Period.
So after the.
yeah.
After the
Yeah.
After the
parentheses.
parentheses.
Sorry, I'm a grammar hawk.
Then accident and illness, just a couple of changes. So addition, the temperature greater than 100 in the past 24 hours was added. And then a child may return to school, so that whole section we want to add. And then just a minor edit, please list 3 people to contact. Nurse Hatch said change it to 2. And then the medication, so this handbook that you have is without this whole section, but there is a whole section that we want deleted about the student being able to carry medication and self-medicate. No. No, they're not gonna carry and they're not going to medicate.
Okay.
So that whole section come out. And then, just to add that all medications must be in the original container. And then, under behavior, rules, and consequences, again, the whole paragraph about responsive classroom, I left in, but at some point, if we do get a new curriculum, we would take this out and then describe the curriculum that we're going to use. And then under,
Well,
You have a question, Pam?
well, I mean, responsive classroom has been there, you know, for a long time, and I would think that, yeah, I can't imagine.
Can you use it in conjunction with?
Doing anything with,
Well-
and I can't imagine going without responsive classroom.
well, I think that would require a conversation about what is responsive classroom and how it's being used. Because responsive classroom is a program, and it is deep and heavy and multifaceted, and teachers need to be trained. And the part that teachers still use, they would continue to use, are the morning meeting and the community
Right.
building.
Right.
But that's not really a program, that's not really just responsive classroom, that is how we build community in the classroom. Responsive classroom really requires teachers to be trained, and if we're not doing that, and we're going in another direction from the program, then it doesn't mean we have to throw out the pieces of responsive classroom that we would use anyway. But just that, to call it responsive classroom, really, it's not accurate, because teachers aren't trained. So, again, I just want to be clear on what we're doing, and
You have a big if here, so that's, I just,
Yeah, Colin is probably gonna come, because we need two meetings for approval of curriculum, right? So, he and I talked about the 14th and the 28th. So if he
Of
brings
June.
new programs in on the 14th, then they could be approved on the 28th.
So he is actively,
Oh, yeah,
Looking
he
for-
knows, yeah. Oh, no, we actually are, the social curriculum that we're really looking at right now is, Second Step.
we talked about
So,
second- yeah,
yeah, so
Second
Second
Step,
Step, and that's, that would be the primary social curriculum, which Margaret is talking about. That doesn't mean that there won't be elements of responsive classroom that creep in, but she's saying it's not necessarily going to be our focal point for, our social curriculum. Is that fair enough?
Yes.
Yeah. And there's still, it falls under the framework of PBIS, but PBS is about expectations, right? But it doesn't really help the teachers sort of teach the social skills in the classroom, right? So it's like the evaluation is, are the kids able to show that they understand how to meet these expectations?
Right.
But then how are we actually teaching them?
right.
And would it be more effective if we had a consistent language? And we believe it would. So, but Colin will bring that, and if for whatever reason, because I think he's also, we just have to figure out if we do have a funding source, we might not. If we have Pam helping with the curriculum regarding the health curriculum, and then Margaret has some small pots of money that she has, from things like the holiday fair and those kind of things. Our goal would be to sweep those up, into the funding we would need for that program. And then the other program we are very interested in doing is the extending the science curriculum that we use now into the middle school, into 7th
So
and
the
8th grade.
STEM scopes?
STEM scopes. So we know we need about $11,000 for that. So we just have to look at what sources we might have. But, so Colin knows that he has to try the next two meetings, and if he can't get it in the fully, then we could always do it we schedule one meeting in July. So we could always do like the 28th in July, and he'd still have the ability to order it and get it in for early in the year. So we're trying to juggle the balls. There's not enough time left. So.
but still keeping the best practices as some essential elements from responsive
Oh, yeah,
classroom.
absolutely.
Okay,
Yep,
yeah.
absolutely.
So then just Georgetown Cares, I believe their last meeting is like June 21st, so for the committee to approve anything, it would have to be, and they would approve it conditionally with the approval of the school committee, and the school committee would have to approve it conditionally with the approval of Georgetown Cares meeting, so everybody's on the same page.
Yeah, I mean, you could identify in your Georgetown Cares, you could identify like, here's the budget. If everything
Right.
goes smoothly,
Right.
then you just have, you know, you have a bit of money that you can spend on it,
Right.
right? So I think
Okay.
I think that timing will work out okay.
Okay, sounds good. I'm sorry, I just, when it's
No.
just an if by responsive classroom, I just, that was big.
Well, I mean,
So-
obviously, we're
I wanted to
making it,
clarify
we're
what-
recommending a change, so.
Yeah.
And
Right.
I do understand that is, it's an emotional response.
Yes,
And
it's an
it's
emotional-
true
I love
for,
responsive
for
class.
many teachers also at Pembroke, because
Right.
it's what's been used, it's what's been there. But we do have to be clear on what we're doing, why we're doing it, and not just saying we're doing something.
Right.
Every teacher is building community, but it's not really using responsive classroom, because that is there's so much more to it that they're not trained, so they're not using aspects.
Well, and I guess the other thing that comes to my mind is when responsive classroom was adopted,
Yeah.
we were in a much darker place prior to. So when that came, it just really like lifted everybody up,
Yeah.
so to speak. And
Yeah.
now I think there's other
Right.
programs perhaps that, like you said, sort of meet the needs
Right.
of the teaching, explicit
Right.
teaching
Skills.
Right.
Yeah.
of the skills.
And I think it's also tricky if a new teacher comes in and we do responsive classroom
Well,
and
that's
they
what's
have their
happening.
flavor and we have our flavor and
Right. And that's kind of what has happened, that we have so many new teachers that
Right.
have not been trained. So again, they build community, they're doing activities, but it's not there's more to responsive classroom than having a morning meeting. And so, we think it's time, and it's true, and that's a good way to say it, Cheryl, that right now, we're seeing children that don't have skills. They need to be taught specifically, and then they need to actually practice those skills in the daily life of their school day. So it's not, oh, we have a great community, and then, but no, you need to practice that skill, and then be reminded of the skill. And I think that's all a part of the second steps.
Sounds good, thank you.
You're welcome. And then, under electronic devices, just keeping up with the times, adding smartwatches or any device that connects to the internet. And then the last big change is the Georgetown acceptable use policy. And it's interesting because I've had conversations with Colin McDonald, Ben Rubino, and Barry Belanger, constantly trying to improve how we control the material that children have access to. And so that will be something that we really will want to update as soon as we have one.
So is that like the different apps and stuff you're saying?
Well,
Or
it's,
like-
it's how, so right now, we have very strong firewalls that prevent children from getting inappropriate sites. But what we have discovered a couple of times is that searches on images yield different results.
Oh, definitely.
So we've changed now especially for the littles, the sites that they can go to, and that we're posting, here are the sites the children are going to have access to, and then that's all they'll have. So they won't be able to go out and do an image search. They can only,
it'll just be a very
it's like
refined or
kid safe,
defined.
exactly. So, and then just the usage policy, the children and parents are agreeing that, anybody can make a mistake, but if a child intentionally strays outside that, there are consequences, and they need to be held accountable for that. And that will be what the form, I know the middle high school will have one, and then Pembroke will have another. So once that gets approved, then I can just drop them right in.
But in particular, the elementary schools, an incredible amount of change over like the past 6-7 years. I mean, when my children were in elementary school, I didn't give them a cell phone until middle school because they didn't need it.
Right.
And that wasn't unusual. That was, pretty
Right.
commonplace practice, but I'm sure things have completely
It
changed
is,
now.
it really,
It's gotta
it's
be.
so amazing. And again,
Wow.
I mean, we have a phenomenal technology staff.
Yeah.
And it's been great that parents will let me know of something so that we're continually meeting and tightening and really you know, trying to control, but again, who would know? Because even in 2 years, things are so different.
Right.
So we're just really trying to keep up with that.
Wow.
I think that's it.
I think we have a draft acceptable use policy that's gonna come to governance at the next meeting. Come to governance at the next meeting, the new acceptable use policy draft.
Is it gonna be one for both schools, or is it gonna be like a digital
I think-
citizenship versus acceptable use?
I'm not sure,
Okay.
I'm not sure.
Do you have a program for digital citizenship? I mean, no, okay, so.
That's an older, age-wise, older
Yeah.
sort of a
Yeah.
concept.
Right.
Not the right word.
Yeah,
And
that sort
again,
of
I think
comes
they
in with it.
embed that in their classes, but it's not, I wouldn't say it's specifically for that.
No, I mean, right, but are the teachers aware of how to disseminate that information to the students? You know, is there a,
About digital citizenship.
you know, like a PowerPoint type thing that every teacher should have, that they give to the children at the beginning of the school
Bless you.
year, that the kids can sort of learn and understand, this is what we expect out of you for the digital.
You don't, but that's a
But
great
I'm,
idea.
great
but I'm not
idea.
sure if the
I like
tech,
that.
if the tech teacher does
Sisters do
that.
that?
I don't know if they, I know at the middle high school, they have a unit on digital citizenship. I don't know at the elementary. I'm assuming because the students have, they have the specials, and one of them is that, I'm
Right, I feel
assuming, but
like-
we should check.
I feel like that was part of the policy things to sign, I
think
believe.
it feels familiar.
I've done an acceptable use policy, but it was probably a few years ago and things have changed.
I mean, showing, you know, also
of
showing
years.
kids what is
Yeah.
acceptable, also showing them how to go onto websites to get credible
Credible things,
information. You know, there's just so much information out there, and what is it that they can use, and how can they use
Right.
it, and how is this credible? And
Yeah, we'll
Yeah.
definitely have to ask that question.
Right.
Because as I said, I believe when we've talked, that is an expectation, but it also goes beyond just what
and
the
also showing the
technology
kids
teacher says, right?
what their digital footprint is, you know,
Yeah.
what you're leaving behind and how you're leaving that behind, I think is important.
Right.
That they should know. What
Well,
they do
and-
is leaving something.
Exactly, and some of that conversation has happened actually with our SRO, with the older children, because that's
Yes.
where you get into that,
Yes.
you know, all the dangers of social media.
But I have a presentation if you want it.
I mean, I would
Send
just
it my way.
think fourth grade.
Yeah, if you have a good presentation,
over.
send it over. We'd
Right,
love to
thank
look
you.
at it.
Yeah, definitely.
Okay, great. So I'll make a motion to approve the Pembroke Student Parent Handbook as presented by Principal Margaret Meyer.
So moved.
Second?
Discussion? All in favor?
Aye.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you, Margaret.
Okay, now we can have for the middle high school. And the
Is Guy coming up too at the same time?
making me nervous back there.
The kids sit for long.
He likes to go to the corner. Okay.
Okay,
Does it feel familiar?
Hello. Last time I saw Guy, it was when he was honoring his friend and
Toasting and roasting.
Peter, right?
A lot of roasting.
Congratulations.
But thank you. So you bring it up, I want to thank you all for coming. It was very nice of you.
It was
touched me.
beautiful.
It was a great
It was a
event.
very touching evening, and
It was very nice. A lot of people were there for you, to support you, so that was very nice too for you. Your family was so nice.
They were.
Yeah, very nice. I met your dad before anyways, but,
yeah.
but everyone was very proud of you, you could tell.
Yes, well, they
Well,
should
thank you
be.
for taking part in that. I really appreciate it.
Sure.
Okay, so I'm just bringing policy changes to you. There's some wording changes, some cosmetic changes that I'm not going to bother you with. So we'll just get to the things that are policy. So the first part is changes that are going to go in both the middle and the high school books. So I'll just say that those are middle high school changes. The big one on page 15 is that you can't use cell phones or electronic devices in school suspension unless you need it for an academic purpose. I think the biggest change here is our attempts to eradicate vaping in the school, as difficult as that is. So we thought it best to add it and really modify the district's tobacco policy, because there was some mention of electronic cigarettes and things like that in it already. So we would like to first add vaping to the suspension offenses where that is listed, and then rename the district tobacco policy to the district tobacco vaping products policy. And we really played around with semantics a lot with this, because we wanted to catch everything. So I think vaping catches everything, electronic cigarettes, all the things that go along with using a vapor, we'll call it vaping. So under the tobacco policy, the discipline was really given out by the number of offenses. So first offense, you got this first. Second offense, you got this. So we're kind of looking at that a little differently now, and we're looking at 3 categories: possession, use, and distribution. So the discipline will go by where you fit in on that. So possession is we're basically calling for a 2-day in-school suspension with that. It talks a little bit about, you know, all of the different devices and things like that, paraphernalia, the liquid that you're using, anything like that. But I do want to say that you should keep in mind that if you were using some type of marijuana-based vaping, you'd fall in a different category. You'd go right out of vaping and into the drug policy. So that would be a 2-day in-school suspension. And
How is that determined? So,
very difficult. So we would get the police involved if we suspected, and they would test the material.
and that would be depending on like the student's demeanor and such.
Yep.
So then you would.
Yeah, so we'd look at symptoms and things like that, and then usually kids at that stage admit it. But if not, there are some that haven't, and we would send it off.
Peter, could you tell the smell? Because I know it's oil.
But
Different smell.
I think
It's
they
a different
have,
smell, yeah.
odorless too, though.
Yeah.
Do they?
Yeah.
Or they mask it, yeah. Smells like oranges.
And do you know?
Fruity and watermelon and coconut.
We definitely use the police as a resource.
Yeah, I was just gonna
to
say,
help
he's in
us
the building.
Make a decision, on that right away.
Okay, so anyway, any discipline that's given out has an educational component to it, because we want to really, and that isn't the only place where we're trying to educate kids, because in my opinion, you're going to be a lot more successful if you educate kids about this before they use it. Once they're using it, it's, that's not me. It's difficult. But so at every level, there's an educational component, and then possession is a two-day in-school suspension. Use is a 4-day suspension, 2 days in, 2 days out. We want them to get back in here so we can do the education thing. And then we take the sale or distribution very, very seriously, and that will call for a 10-day out-of-school suspension, as well as an educational component. And of course, these, if you're a minor, these are all illegal, so the police is notified anytime there's a law that's broken. So that's all part of it too. So that's the vaping.
Peter, what is the educational component? What do you do with them? I mean,
Well, we usually make them, we haven't instituted this yet, but I could tell you about the tobacco. We do that with tobacco violations, drug violations. We do that with bullying. We do that with any kind of prejudicial situation. It's usually readings, videos, counseling with our social worker.
Okay. And, yeah, that's part of, so Tom Brow who's working now in the Belmont School with the vaping diversion program, he says, described what he does. And so the students may, do a report on it, they may have to interview people, they have projects around these, like you give them a reading, but then they have
Right,
to
but I was just saying, if you
interpret-
give them a reading, are they actually gonna read it? So I like
Oh,
the
yeah, they
fact
have to
that
do
somebody
more-
is going to
They-
come
they-
in and
Yes,
talk to them.
yes.
But they also have to reflect,
Okay.
so they
Yeah,
have to
they have
write.
to reflect, yes.
Okay.
Right, so.
So that's vaping. There's some cafeteria updates that took place sometime between last year at this time and now, and they were already in the book. So they were already approved, I believe, by you. So we're putting them in the book. The Library Media Center updates is just to include our iPad program and the fact that if you don't have one or you opt out, you can come in and check it out, and you have to bring it back at the end of the day unless you have an iPad specific assignment. And I could tell you that we've learned a little bit about that. The kids have really been keeping them because they say, well, every night you have an assignment, but that really isn't accurate. So I'm trying to get the teachers to really focus on iPad specific, not the use of the internet, which they don't need that iPad for, most kids, because they have a computer at home or something like that. So it's more about the apps. Like Margaret, we're waiting on the new acceptable use policy, so we'll put it in there when that comes. So that wraps up the middle high school, and then the middle school in particular is they didn't have the concussion information in the book, so we're taking the concussion information, that is the school's information, and it's found on pages 50 and 51 in the handbook for the high school, and putting it into the middle school book. And just tweaking the student use of electronic devices because it looked a lot like Margaret's, except it had iPads in there that you can't have
Can't use
iPads in.
iPads.
And you can have iPads, that's okay.
Do you see a lot of beepers around
No,
school?
no. I didn't bring that up, but we scratched that. Yeah, the beepers are out. And things that are obsolete would just,
I say that would be
you know,
another
I didn't
issue
think
if
I
you
needed
did.
to bother you with that. But the big thing in the middle school is kids walking around with
The Beats and the headphones.
the headphones and the stuff like that.
Probably not even playing anything.
And
It's hard to tell, some
yeah.
are, some aren't, it's
Yeah.
hard to tell, so
They
it's.
like the way the basketball players look
Yeah.
as they enter
Well,
the stadium.
It's become it's like a clothing
Yeah,
accessory. It's not.
You're right.
Yeah.
It's true.
Well, they can keep that at home. So we don't want that.
Right.
Would you like to discuss and vote on those before we get to the athletic changes? Because that is theoretically a different
A
book.
different book, yeah.
Yeah.
Sure. Does anybody have any questions about the changes proposed? Just going with the times. Okay, so I'll make a motion to accept the changes to the Georgetown Middle High School handbook as presented by Principal Peter Lucia.
So moved.
Second?
Discussion? All in favor?
Aye.
You do realize that will be the last time I will be saying that.
No.
As presented.
As
by
per
Peter
the
Luger.
school
Oh,
handbook?
oh,
Are you gonna
oh,
do
oh.
this again
The
next
handbook.
Yeah, I hope so. I don't have anything else in my.
I don't think you have any
No, I think
other
this is it.
major.
Yeah, okay, you hope so that you won't. Yes,
Yeah,
I was
I hope
thinking
that's
he
the
was
last
like-
time you say
He
it.
was looking like,
It will definitely be the last time for the
Next
handbook.
year?
Right, well, you're gonna say it one more time, hopefully, so. Athletic changes, and I wanna say that, well, first, I guess I should have said this, I forgot, that the school council has approved this unanimously, all of it. So, that's the one of the major roles of the school council. And how we do it in the middle high school is we create subcommittees for each book. For example, Mr. Prescott is the chair of the athletic subcommittee book, and then they bring it to the school council, in the school council makes recommendations to me, and most of the time I accept those, and sometimes I do not. So what I'm really bringing to you are my recommendations, but I did not reject any of the suggestions. I do want to put a disclaimer out here for the athletic changes. There was some discussion here about adding some language here and there. It didn't change the policy, so I didn't bring it to you. We're going to do it, but it's not here in front of you tonight. There's some very minor things like, well, you should add this to make it more clear. Just
clarify
Right,
that.
so you're not changing things.
Yeah.
it's just-
Clarifying language that was confusing when we read through a few times, so just trying to clean it up so it makes better sense.
Grammatical editing.
Is that what it's called?
Yes.
Use that one.
So there's a whole booster section in there, but we believe that, the boosters have kind of gone away for a while, but
Well, there's hope, that's why we want to put that in there, there's hope
Yep.
for a rebirth, so we're in discussions with some
Yes.
parents
So-
about that.
Yeah, so we do have a parent group who's interested, but you have a policy, and so, and they have certain status as a nonprofit, right? So they have their bylaws, and they have all those things, they operate as an independent entity, really. But you can't just, I'm researching it with our attorney, you can't just get rid of them. There's a process by which they have to, I don't know if it's our responsibility to say that we're no longer recognizing the group, whether they have to do something through the bank where they basically just dissolve. This group is talking about changing the name, the new group changing the name, bringing in their own bylaws, setting up their own governance structure. So in essence, they're a new group. So I'm working with the attorney to make sure that we do all of the things we need to do. And I actually today emailed Ken Woodbury, because he was sort of the last man standing. And I had some questions for him that, I'm sure he'll get back to me on in terms of, like specifics about how they governed, what is the status now? Is there a bank account that they use, So just have they been reporting to the IRS? Just those kind of things. Like, we need to just figure out if we have to disband them and then start another one, we want to do it right. So that's why you
Yeah,
don't
so
have
that's
language,
gonna,
'cause
it's
we
gonna
have to
change, and I'm sure
make sure
it'll
that's
come
right.
to you before it changes.
Yes.
But we just want you to know that it probably isn't gonna look like what is in the book right now. The way we pick team captains is, I don't know, really could say that this has changed, but it's outlined now. So one team captain for all teams may be elected by the team at the conclusion of the season. One will be appointed by the coach, and captains may also be elected or appointed on a game-by-game basis, but there can never be more than 3 captains per team. Letter qualifications, this, again, I think this is a little change here. So we distinguish between 2 types of sports: cut sports that can theoretically cut. We really, in practice, because of our numbers and things like that, really only cut in basketball. So, right?
We have,
Yeah.
Do you cut in baseball?
not this year, but we have in recent years. So they're cut sports if the numbers just grow. We have a minimum and a maximum number of kids on the team. That's that sheet in the handbook, so we refer to that when we make those decisions.
So that will be outlined then, what a cut and a non-cut sport is?
Yeah.
So it could sort of be any sport in a given year, just if the numbers.
There's a couple, like football is a traditional non-cut sport because you're always looking for numbers. You
Track.
could have 100, 200, track and cross country are non-cut sports.
Okay.
They operate a little differently. That's why when we were in discussions about this, it was very difficult to just make a decision across the board because it would affect a non-cut versus a cut sport. But all your cut sports are your traditional sports with multiple levels that have a varsity, a junior varsity, freshman and middle school, say, or two of the 4 or 3 of the 4. Those sports dictate that there's a varsity team that's picked, whether you cut above it or you determine who's on the varsity team. That, I think, is the essence of what we're getting at, is the people that make that team qualify for a varsity letter. Because some people on that team didn't receive a letter in the past. And each sport was a little unique and did it, you know, a little differently, and it creates a lot of problems, obviously for me, but for the parents and everybody else that concerned. The other thing we'd like to do is make this even clearer when the coaches talk to the parents prior to the season, when they lay out their expectations, to say whether you're a non-cut or cut sport, and you know, what is your qualification to receive a letter. So in like cross country, they have a numbered system. You get a point system. If you get X amount of points throughout the season, you're a varsity letterman. And in football, it's quarters or it's games played. You know, they have a formula. So they're going to have to outline that a little bit for us to start, as opposed to going backwards.
Well, I think what they're gonna have to do is get in line with this policy. So if they're not, this will be the policy. So if it's a cut sport and you're in good standing at the end of the year, you get a letter. If it's a non-cut sport, you have to participate, you have to appear in 50% of the games.
Which is the current language.
So if you make the team, but you don't play much, are you getting a letter?
Yep, in a cut sport.
Right, in a cut sport, right.
There are a few wrinkles to that. I mean, there are swing players in certain sports that play junior varsity and then come and, you know, and dress on the
Play up,
bench
yeah.
or stuff. That's what I'm saying about, we gotta clarify that, the fringe thing. But yeah, if you make varsity team, it's 15 kids
Because
on the
usually,
team.
like, the swing players, right, would make the junior varsity and then
Come up.
play
called
up.
up.
So then,
Yeah, but we do have people that go down
Oh.
too. We do have some people based on, it's just based on numbers technically. So
Right,
where
yeah.
are we gonna house the extra people? Should we house them higher or lower? But the object is for them to maybe practice higher and play, you know, get their play
the
time.
fact that they were selected for that team, that varsity team, even though they play down, I would think they would be given
To
a
me,
letter.
it should be games you play.
Right.
I mean, how many of the games, whatever team you're on, right? So, so.
That's the debate.
Okay, that's the debate.
Yeah. And this is what we came up with. Because
Okay, so
I
let's-
agree with you, but I'm not gonna, you know, I'm leaving. So I'm not going to.
And I disagree with you.
And I'm not gonna.
So I'm not
Right,
sure
so
what
this
the
was
rule.
the,
This was the debate. This is what was.
So-
because Suzanne was on the committee.
Yeah.
So what, so say, can you say it again, what the?
If you make varsity, if you are selected to play varsity, you get a letter. You are
Yep.
practicing just as hard as any other varsity player at practice.
As practice,
Whether you
yep.
play or not, the coach can decide who he wants in, and he might keep the same kids in because they're having a winning combination,
Yeah.
but you still made varsity, so you
Right.
still get a letter.
And so, in the cut sport.
In the
That's
cut
what's right.
sports.
That's right. So
So,
that's,
so if you're, I'm just trying to figure out why it's different with non-cut sports.
because
Because
in football, I could have 100 kids on the team, and
if we had numbers.
right, and, well,
But you-
where I came
but-
from, I had 150 kids on my
yes.
team.
Okay, so it's
So
a
it's the amount
numbers
of
game.
playing
So anybody that came out is on the team, and then we dress them all for the game. That they're not going to play. They're never going to play. They probably get hurt if they play in a
Because
varsity
there aren't
game.
multiple levels and all that.
Right, there's only a couple
Okay,
levels.
That makes sense. Makes sense.
So that was the big.
Right, so you're not gonna give all,
You gotta give 150
100 kids, right.
varsity
Right.
letters out.
So
you know, there
you-
is a distinction between the
So
kids
you're
that actually play
recommending,
or are eligible to
if
play.
you're on the team, you get a letter.
I'm recommending
For
the,
Varsity.
for cut sports, yes.
the language of the subcommittee
Okay.
came it out.
Okay.
They're gonna be here and I'm not.
It was a
good debate?
Yeah, well, we
yeah,
had
but we came to a
we had a we had a
middle
really
road.
good debate.
As long as you can justify what you're doing.
came to a middle of the road, right?
Yeah, and we actually, you know, we did talk with, we had coaches on the committee as well, and just referred to them on a lot of, you know, to give us their perspective.
Right.
And they backed up this theory. So, you know, when I just go through the top of my head, you know, because I give out all the letters and certificates and stuff, and just going through it, I don't think it's going to affect a lot of people, to be honest with you, across the board. But what we did find out is that we did make a few mistakes where kids weren't recognized, and it was more of the coaches not understanding the policy
language.
or the
Right.
language, And that creates problems as we move forward, because it wasn't brought to my attention till later, and, you know, some
Well,
bad
that is a
blood.
problem. They should have to like sign off that they read the handbook.
Well, that's why this is good to.
Well, it's not a bad idea.
But this is also clear cut. The other one was a little muddled.
Right.
You know, so this now has the
Right, but
language.
there
The other
should be
one
no
was-
coach that
Right.
says.
Oh, I didn't read, I didn't
know that
understand
was
it,
in the
right.
policy,
Yeah.
right?
Well,
in the
that's a
handbook.
good point. We, in the summer, we're gonna be revising our coaches handbook, which is more of an internal document, you know, and it will have all of these things, all of our expectations, the things we're working on in committee, and all of the stuff that we're gonna hold them accountable for, you know, the evaluation system, the rubric. All that stuff is gonna be housed in this other document, which clearly is gonna state how our expectations are, how we're gonna move forward with the
So you're
coaches.
going to meet each season with the coaches and go through
Yep, we do.
page by page
happens
to
in-
make sure.
We do that now.
You do?
Yes, but we really need to, upgrade that book to include, you know, things
Yeah.
like this. And then what I do is, I will highlight certain things that I know may be at issue, and then we will talk about those things. And we do meet every season, and we discuss those things. But it's hard. I mean, it's, you know, there's a lot to it. There's a lot in there, so they have to be reminded. We do have a lot of new coaches. I don't know if anyone's recognized that recently. So we have a lot of new coaches, so we have to keep
hard
on the
to-
same page, and you know, they have to go through it a few times to really understand what, you know, what is the expectation, what is, you know, the important, you know, what's more important as you go through it, you know.
No, I agree.
Okay, so, the grievance procedure, the current grievance procedure is the same one as in the student parent handbook. So it has some things, some people in there that probably aren't so relevant to the athletic world, like department heads and assistant principals. So basically, it's the same thing, except we remove department heads and assistant principals. And that's it.
And you're gonna change the.
Yes.
Right, oh, yes, yes.
The right athletic director.
I can tell you that the book that is online
Yeah.
has been updated. It just hasn't been updated online. So we didn't replace the online one with the updated book. So we do have one that we've had some minor changes over the last year or two that we've been operating under.
Well, we should always have the most current one
Yeah.
up there. But I'm
Yeah,
also
absolutely.
wondering if it makes sense not to put the dates, just put, you know, something at the
Yeah,
bottom,
yeah, I agree.
revised, such as, because
Yeah.
otherwise, you know, when people look at it, go, well, it's a 3-year-old.
That's what I did. I was looking for something on the athletic handbook, on the website, and it showed that, and I was calling Nancy, I'm like, can you get me an updated one? And
Right.
she's like, well, this is the one
Most
that I can
current.
find. I'm like, well, that's the one I found,
should have
but,
made that clear, because I knew that. I just should have made it clear. I thought that was the one that people see, so we should operate off of that one while we move to make the updates, you know, and then if everything goes through, then change it all and update officially.
yeah.
But I like
think
Carol's
getting rid of the
idea,
date, yeah.
just say revised, and then we know every year at this time, we're going to be, you know,
Right,
updating
yeah.
and looking at it. So,
Yeah.
there's no
Or-
danger that,
Or, because
Or-
it's possible that there can be years or several years that it's not revised, and if the current date isn't on there, we
Right,
might
then
not
people
know
like
we don't
knowing.
have the current book.
Most updated one.
well, I mean,
Yeah, I mean, I think there's a way to note, you know,
was
what,
revised.
that it was revised, you know, that
Yeah,
it was revised on such and such a
revised.
date, but I don't know.
How do you know that that's the last
you just know
revision?
every year, you're going to, if it's the same, if there are no
You
changes.
just have to change it every year.
You just have to change
Well,
it every year,
we're
unless
gonna
we've
change it every year.
explicitly said there are no changes this
you-
year. So,
yeah.
you know, you just make sure
There
that you
was-
keep
there
it
was- there
current
was some-
online, right?
Yeah.
There
It's
was
the
some-
same thing, wherever you put the
Happens, you
date,
know,
it's the
just
same
something that goes
thing.
on your calendar of things
But
that need
but
to happen
I
at this
think if
time.
you have it like, you know, 1819 handbook, you know that it's
The 1819
current.
handbook, yeah.
because you never know if there was a year that it wasn't revised.
But-
Because it
right.
could say 2015
We should do
next
both.
year,
Right,
and that's
right,
the current
and then
revision.
In 19, you're like, do
I
both.
know.
But we should do,
Revised in 4
we'll do
years.
both, because there could be some things that get added, like there's some mass state laws that may change that we'd have to, put into the current
in,
book
right.
as an addendum, and we could just say revised addendum at the state, and then that book's online, you know, it's live. I could tell you the reason, there was a lot of turnover, in the last couple of years in the main office area.
Calling you?
That's not me.
It's Jack. Jack, you answered that.
If my ringtone went off, we'd all be in trouble. So,
No, you would be.
I
We
Let's
just
be
approved
clear.
a policy on that.
I would definitely deny it was mine. All right, so we're gonna do both, right?
80s hair.
All
Yeah,
right.
yeah. Okay.
Okay, good. So I'll make a motion to approve the changes to the middle high school athletic handbook as presented by Principal Peter Lucia and Athletic Director Guy Prescott.
So moved.
Second.
Any further discussion? All in favor?
Aye.
Great.
And you wanna do the elementary one too, because I think we didn't.
And how are things working out with Ryan? Everything's good? You're finding like, it's almost a year.
Things
School
are great.
year.
Things are working out great in the athletic department.
Thanks for asking.
It sounds like it was recorded.
Actually,
Things are great.
you're gonna hear more from Guy in another meeting, because he's gonna do the end of the year sports report.
Oh, yeah.
Oh, yeah.
Looking
Are you coming
forward
June
to that.
14th?
Yes.
Report from the spring season.
Okay.
End of the
well,
year, spring season, report, and maybe a fall preview if we have enough time.
Okay. I know
Is there
track
anything else
is,
going on that night? Can we just
I
talk
don't,
out
I
loud?
don't, I'm not sure I'm gonna be here. Oh, kidding.
Yes, you are.
track is doing well.
Middle school
Right.
track had a great season.
Yeah,
They just
and-
had their championship this week.
That's great.
We had
And
a
then
lot of kids that
baseball's in the
qualified.
tournament.
So as I know it right now, yes, baseball's qualified for the tournament, and girls lacrosse has to win one more game, and they qualify. They're 9-8 as of today,
Oh,
so
great.
they have 2 more games. So
hope
we're
they
hoping
go.
they get in. Boys lacrosse will not qualify,
Girls are great.
and softball will not qualify as
okay.
of now.
Okay.
So we should have 2.
Good.
Great.
Yeah.
Good. And the Spofford tournament is this weekend.
Yes.
Is it the whole weekend?
Yeah, 2
Usually
days.
it's.
Yeah, Saturday, Sunday, yeah. Yeah. Okay, good. Well, thank you
Thank
both.
you very much.
Thank you.
Have a nice night.
You too. You. Now I wanna know what his ringtone is.
Call him.
I know.
Stuff in here, oh my goodness. Look at all these,
All the handbook
all
stuff.
the interesting things that are in the record and. So are we down to new business? Oh my God, I lost my agenda. There it is.
Oh, it's a lot of this stuff.
This is,
Okay, so we have a,
so they have a donation.
surplus that we have to talk about. So, the old pitcher's mound.
Oh, yeah.
All right, yeah, it's interesting because we had a game yesterday and people from Hamilton were like, oh, thank goodness they have that new pitcher's mound. They were all talking about this old pitcher's mound that we had, and I'm listening to them, and I didn't know what they were talking about. They were like, oh, the old pitcher's mound at the turf field was, I don't know, filled with like dirt and.
Yeah, it's not it wasn't a,
Yeah,
wasn't
and
a
kids
great
could get
investment.
hurt,
It
and
wasn't a
I
great.
was like,
we-
what are they
I
talking
think
about?
everybody thought it was gonna be something different than what it ended up being.
Right, so we have a new one.
So, yeah, so right now, what we're talking about is the one that when we were involved in the turf project,
Yeah.
the GAA made some donations to enhance some of the items that people thought were needed. And one was, because it was a turf field, to have a mound. They quickly found out that it's really big and really cumbersome. It's in pieces. And it just was.
I mean, it
got
wasn't
to
as
be-
portable as
It
we
wasn't
thought.
as portable, and the GAA doesn't use it because
It's
they
such a
found it,
pain.
cumbersome. So it's literally sitting in the garage, and it's taking up a lot of space. It's not a tiny little setup. So originally, we had heard that there was another local high school that was interested in perhaps purchasing it, which led us into a discussion about, how is that all gonna work, right? So upon, research, what we discovered was that it isn't as easy as, okay, would you like to pay us, $7,000 or $8,000 and, we'll give you the amount. Because it was originally a donation, so it's technically our property, right? And it has to do with the value of it. So it was a $20,000 initial donation.
Wow.
And, Suzanne did a lot of research today on trying to find out, because there's no policy at the town level about how depreciation works.
Well, how to get to the salvage value.
Salvage value, that's right.
Amortization on
Right.
the-
So we do have a town policy. Did we give them
Well,
a town
it's
policy?
the 30B, regulation
Yeah.
is the town policy,
Yeah.
which
So-
is anything that's worth more than $10,000 has to be
Bid
bid
or
a sealed bid
auctioned.
Oh, okay. Oh, that's what you guys were
That's what we were
discussing.
talking about.
Oh, okay, okay.
So originally, Mike was estimating that it was about $8,000, but when I said, you know what, we have to have a formula, we could pick any number out of the hat, right? So if we were ever questioned, we would want to be able to go back to, an actual formula. So Suzanne did some research today, and you look at the, how long you've had it, what's the useful life of it, and then you can figure out about how much per year, comes off, and then you get to a place where you figure out, okay, is it under $10,000? So based on the calculation that we were doing today, it really is worth more like $12,000 or $13,000. Or even 14, right? Because we're thinking, what, about $2,000 a year?
Right, and we're not quite sure exactly when it was placed in service. We didn't quite
Right.
get that date either, but we think it was around,
It's got a
fall
10-year
of
life too.
It's
10-year life.
and it might have even a bigger life, but I think if you were using it every single day,
Right.
maybe it would.
Right.
From an accounting
Well, just from
perspective,
an asset management perspective, it
Yeah.
has a 10-year life.
So it has a 10-year life. So that means that if we want to get rid of it, then we have to
Declare
either do
it
an,
surplus.
you have to declare it surplus. And then that allows us, because usually we say, and dispose of it per
as
proper,
appropriate,
yeah, as appropriate. And so we looked at the town's policy, and basically, you would give it first to the opportunity to other governmental agencies and I think, not some nonprofit with,
Publication.
yeah. So we'd have to let people know that it was available, and then we see who wants it, and then what they're willing to pay for it, right? And then the money goes to the money comes in and it goes to the town. We wouldn't see any of that money. It would go to the town.
So how do you determine, is it the highest bid gets it?
Yeah.
Okay.
Can we have a minimum bid? Can we assert a minimum bid? We can't?
No, but we just
We also
keep
just
it.
wanna
We
get
have
rid
to
of
keep
it.
it.
I think
Yeah,
it's the
right.
actual
Oh, but we
goal.
just
We're
decided
trying-
not to.
We're trying to get
We're
rid
not
of
gonna
it.
see this on
Sell it.
Craigslist or something, are we?
I don't know.
Is
Not,
that
not
an
because,
official
not
state,
because of
uh,
us. It's not going on because of us.
No.
But, so we just want to make sure everybody understood the process,
Yeah, okay.
that's,
Yeah.
that's where we would
And do
need
you have
to
to
go.
put it in the paper?
Yeah,
You
Yeah.
have to
yeah,
advertise.
All right.
yeah.
So we're spending money.
Advertise with a starting price.
Right.
It is a little comical, Michael. But then, so if you just declare it surplus, then we'll go forward with the process.
Okay.
So I'll make a motion to declare the portable pitcher's mound surplus and to ensure that it is disposed of
Properly.
right, under the proper protocol procedures.
So moved.
Second.
Discussion, all in favor? Aye. That's funny.
Thank you.
Okay, then we have a donation.
From the GAA, yes, and it's completely, I was thinking when I was typing the notes, it isn't for the turf field, it is for the fields at Pembroke, and this is something we did last year, and, GAA is paying the lion's share of it, obviously, but, it is important, we have to keep those fields, well-maintained.
So is this letter not in relation to this?
What letter? GAA is informed.
letter
that
from-
it-
No, it is.
No, it is,
Yeah,
but
it's
it's
just,
it's
it
the
shouldn't be,
Pembroke field,
it shouldn't
not
be
the
turf
turf
field
field.
maintenance.
Oh,
It says Pembroke
Well, wait a
Athletic
minute.
Fields at the top,
Right.
but then they put annual
Yeah.
turf maintenance,
So,
which,
so that it's True
Okay.
Green calling it a turf maintenance plan. We say turf, we think of the turf
yeah,
field.
turf field,
Right.
but they're
True
saying.
Green is
They're
turf.
saying
Turf.
true,
Grass
right.
and grass, yeah.
Oh, turf, like
yeah,
like
but up
turf.
here
Yeah.
it says
Yeah.
Pembroke.
Yeah, well, that's a very generous donation.
Very generous.
Yeah, we appreciate that. Okay, I'll make a motion to accept the donation, very generous donation of $4,000 from the Georgetown Athletic Association for assistance with the maintenance of the Pembroke Fields.
So moved.
Second.
Discussion? All in favor? Aye. Again, thank you very much to the Georgetown Athletic Association. They are very generous, and we appreciate their partnership.
Absolutely.
Okay. You wanna talk about, subcommittee reports?
I don't think there's been many.
I know, well, negotiations we have, so, we're gonna have an executive session about that. Governance, we have not met, but it sounds like we.
There is a meeting coming up,
Yeah, it is.
and there's a public relations
there?
meeting
We
coming
have
up.
next Tuesday.
Yep, I think those are on the same day.
Yeah, I think I.
They are on the same day.
Yep, yep.
Which is.
The one thing we
29.
do really need to do is a budget and finance meeting, so,
There was just a,
there was a
A
doodle,
doodle,
but the
right.
only one who
I think I
responded
was
is
the only one
Suzanne.
that-
We're 3:15.
Well, I
Oh, yes.
responded with the,
Should
are
we
we
wait
going
a
to wait for the,
3:15.
For the
for
new
the
group.
new group, or, so what do you guys wanna do with that?
I think
Do
you should just do it until the end of the year.
keep the
I
same,
think it should be,
Yeah.
just for consistency.
Well, just because then somebody else has to get up to
think
speed,
it's
and
a
there's probably
fiscal
only
year
one
thing.
or
Like it's
two
a
more
July
meetings max
21st, right?
that you're gonna have
July
Okay.
29th.
for the rest of the year.
Oh my God.
June 30th.
July 1st is what I meant.
Wow, that's an interesting date for a fiscal
Governance,
year.
okay,
Did
all right,
we
so
vote on
we'll
that?
start at the beginning of the school year.
Do we vote
Right.
on that?
No.
Beginning
No,
of
I
the-
think it's just,
Yeah, because we are, all the motions said for the 2018-2019
Okay.
school year, so
Yeah.
we'll
I
just
think
keep it
it's
as
best practice.
is.
okay.
Until then.
I wasn't sure if you didn't respond because none of the dates worked.
Oh, no.
So, you know what I mean?
No, I saw Barbie's
Yeah, I know.
email, so I,
Okay.
Ignored it.
So maybe you could look at it
White.
again.
Governance.
Maybe you could look at it again and see what, if any of those dates
Yeah.
work, so we can get that,
Sure, now that I
so
can
we
do
can get
that
that
date.
scheduled.
Governance, I have it Tuesday at noontime, and I'm not sure if I can make that.
Okay.
I'll have
Oh,
to go
Tuesday, right, that is.
Tuesday at noontime, so I'll get out to you guys tomorrow, because it seems like we're gonna have an audience. The governance,
Well,
committee meetings, because we're gonna,
yeah, we were gonna invite, Colin was going to come. So he was gonna talk, and he was gonna try to get the integration specialist to be able to come, to
Right.
talk about the acceptable use
then we talked about Margaret coming.
for the, health services policies.
Right, and then I know that one of our Board of Selectmen wanted to be on the agenda for an upcoming governance meeting, so.
Okay. Yeah, I'm not sure maybe I think they might have I think I know what you're talking about, and I'm wondering what policy they were talking about, search and seizure?
I think
I
it,
mean, I
I
don't
think
know
it's,
what-
yeah, well, I think it's to,
To see,
it could be an addition to the search and seizure, but it definitely sounded like they wanted a policy in place that stipulated that these things can be done.
they can be done already.
No, but like in the manner that they're
Yeah.
looking to have it done, so,
Yeah.
we can talk about that in
Yep.
terms of
For sure.
inviting. So, okay, no one else? Okay,
Not really.
so public relations is meeting,
Next Tuesday at 3:15.
okay, good.
Yep.
All right. Anything else before I make a motion to adjourn, and we do need to have an executive session?
Just CPAC, I did attend a special education meeting, Flatbread Pizza, it was very, very nice. And I believe Tom Stewart is running again for president of the CPAC. I don't know exactly what other offices and people will be running for them, but I do know that the election will be held on my son's birthday, which is June 5th.
Is that when they do the rising, the shining?
Not yet,
No,
that's
not
only at the
yet.
end of
This
the
is
year.
just the election
okay.
officers.
It was really nice.
And I'm pretty sure it's from 4 to 7 at Dunkin' Donuts on the evening of June 5th.
Okay.
So, that's a Tuesday, I think. So if people wanted to vote in those, you know, just to go on to Dunkin' Donuts and put your ballot in the box
Yeah.
and see how it goes.
And then, and can anyone vote on that, or do you have to have a special education student?
Well, I mean, you know, I think they would like members of the CPAC, but the CPAC is open, and I don't wanna speak for them, but, I mean, I always understood it to be open to anyone who,
Right, because
you know,
those
was
workshops
interested
and everything are
in-
open to anybody, so.
Right.
Yep.
Okay.
Right. Who's,
Do you know when the Shining Star Awards are coming?
It's June maybe 27th?
Did they already schedule them? I
Yeah,
haven't
that's
heard
the
anything.
26th.
I saw it. Oh, I saw it on.
Let me see if
yeah,
it's
I
on
saw
my
it on Facebook,
calendar
but-
here.
Oh, and is that?
June
Yes,
27th.
it's the 27th.
It's at it.
It's at 6:45 at Jeff and Maria's. And they've opened it up to like people in the I think it's people in the community, beyond the school,
So the
Correct.
27th?
for people to win, yeah. And I
Oh,
don't-
it's June. I'm thinking you're talking about a
June
Saturday.
27th, Wednesday.
6:45.
6:45, Jeff
Oh, I
and
have it,
Maria's.
6:45, Jeff and
That's
Maria's, I
when
got it.
they're awarding the Shining Stars.
Okay.
I'm not sure the date, the last date that you can nominate someone.
June 1st.
June 1st, okay, great, thank you, Michael.
Great.
It was at the 24th,
And-
yes?
27th.
Yeah,
27th.
6:45.
and to do that, I'm sure, an email to one of the CPAC officers with a little description of why a person, a special person, I believe in the community, has been wonderful for children with special needs, or your particular, or your child, or anyone that you believe is deserving of this award.
Okay. Great. Thank you. Okay. I will make a motion to adjourn the open meeting at 8:22 PM. We do need to have an executive session. We will not be coming back to live television. So again, I make a motion to adjourn and enter into executive session, Chapter 30A, Section 21, for the purpose of negotiation update.
With union personnel.
With, right, okay.
So moved?
Second.
And we need a roll call.
Aye.
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 Great. Thank you, good night.